My name is Joachim Tauber, and I'm director of the Northeast Institute at Lüneburg, Germany. We have a slight change of our program. It will start, as you read it, we have the presentation of more foundations who are connected to helping Ukrainians, to help research about Ukraine and with Ukraine. One of the presentation will not be because the representative of DAAD, German Akademischer Austauschdienst, didn't make it to Vilnius. So we have 4 presentations, and then I'm very pleased to inform you that our colleagues from the Pilecki Institute will take over the chair, and we have some witness reports from Ukrainians what this war is all about, and I'm very pleased to hear this, and it's great after research to hear the reality of war. Okay, we are starting with the Ukrainian Cultural Foundation. Vladislav Berkowski is Executive Director of the Foundation, and he will speak in Ukrainian. The floor is yours.
Dear friends, dear colleagues, шановні панство, дорогі колеги, мої дорогі колеги, радий вас усіх бачити, хто сьогодні приїхав, хто після вчорашньої тарути дожив до ранку. Радий вас всіх бачити, і я маю честь представляти Український культурний фонд. Єдина і найбільша українська грантова організація, яка працює в сфері культури, і в тому числі в сфері історії, заснована в 2017 році, є до сьогоднішнього дня. Установа державна і єдина установа грантова в Україні, яка навіть на сьогоднішній день повністю і цілковито фінансується з державного бюджету України. Тобто це не кошти залучені наших партнерів, а це кошти, які безпосередньо наші українські. Ми працюємо, Український культурний фонд працює в 7 основних секторах культури. Кожен з цих секторів, звісно, може бути використаний і нами, істориками для своїх досліджень. Тобто це у нас сектори аудіовізуального мистецтва, сектори перформативного мистецтва, інші мистецтва, але для нас з вами найбільш цікавим є сектор культурної спадщини, в якому найбільше видаються гранти для підтримки безпосередньо історичних досліджень. Власне, для Українського культурного фонду основним є отримати результат, практичні результати і практичні продукти. Тобто це може бути резиденція, це може бути відеоплатформа, наприклад, на історичну тематику, це може бути інклюзивний відеоконтент, в першу чергу він цікавий для працівників музеїв, архівів, які можуть. Створення перформансів, 3D-моделей, подкастів, фестивалів, в тому числі ми підтримуємо і історико-етнографічні, краєзнавчі фестивалі. І звісно, що частково ми підтримуємо дослідження і інше. За період з 2019 по фактично 2022 рік до Українського культурного фонду надійшло понад 11 тисяч заявок, фактично 12 тисяч заявок, з яких фактично близько 2 тисяч заявок ми підтримали і вони дістали фінансування. Наступного року, 2024 року, Український культурний фонд дістав підтвердження на фінансування в районі 200 мільйонів гривень, які будуть виділені на грантові програми. Ми маємо дуже потужну співпрацю з нашими колегами і дістаємо кошти так само на підтримку досліджень від наших партнерів. Зокрема, в цьому році ми дістали кошти від наших партнерів Міністерства культури Великого князівства Люксембург, яке профінансувало частково стипендіальні програми, які були оголошені в цьому році. І я, власне, знаю, що в залі в нас є мої стипендисти, я буду так казати, нашого фонду стипендисти, які, власне, отримали стипендії в цьому році. Грантові програми. В нас є 9 основних грантових програм, в яких оголошуються гранти і відбувається фінансова підтримка. Власне, на екрані ви можете побачити ці грантові програми. Я прошу звернути увагу на основні програми. Зокрема, це програма «Культурна спадщина», програма «Культура регіони» і програма дослідження обміну резиденції, стипендії. Власне, це 3 основних програми, в яких відбувається найбільша підтримка саме історичних досліджень і проєктів історичної тематики. Почнемо з самого найбільш цікавого проєкту грантової програми – це програма «Культурна спадщина». Культурна спадщина складається з 3 лотів. Перший лот – це пов'язаний з діджиталізацією. Він повністю націлений на здійснення оцифровки об'єктів культурної спадщини, створення проєктів, які пов'язані з діджиталізацією і оцифровкою об'єктів культурної спадщини, а також їхньою презентацією. Другий лот – це лот, який пов'язаний з кроссекторальними проєктами, які націлені на те, щоб ми могли подивитися на ті чи інші проблеми збереження культурної спадщини, не тільки з історичної чи культурознавчої напрямку, але й залучивши інші напрямки. Звідси, виходить, кроссекторальний. І врешті я хочу звернути увагу на 3-й лот. 3-й лот з'явився в цьому році, і я сподіваюся, що він буде продовжений на наступному році. Це лот історико-культурні дослідження. Лот націлений чітко на 2 напрямки. Перший напрямок, який для більшості нас є цікавий, це напрямок археографії. Підготовка, видання джерел. Другий напрямок – це безпосередньо історичні дослідження, які мають завершитися у вигляді аналітичного звіту по тій чи іншій тематиці. В межах аналітичного звіту можна здійснити видання монографії, збірки статей і так далі. Але базовим є аналітичний звіт по проєкту. Культура регіону. Культура регіону – проєкти, які здійснюються і націлені на розгляд проблем і питання, які стосуються регіональної тематики. Але прошу звернути увагу на те, що обласні центри подаватись на цю грантову програму не можуть. Тобто, якщо колеги хочуть працювати в цьому напрямку, вам треба здійснювати співпрацю з регіональними інституціями рівня району або ОТГ, тобто малої територіальної громади. Або ваш проєкт має відбуватися на цій території або стосуватися цієї території. Як правило, ці проекти найбільш цікаві, тому що в межах саме програми «Культура регіонів» відбуваються підготовка різного роду локальних фестивалів, заходів на етнографічну і іншу тематику. Наступна програма – дослідження, освіта, резиденції, стипендії. З самої назви зрозуміло, на що вона націлена. І ось тут є цікаве. Освіта. Розробка проєктів, які пов'язані з впровадженням новітніх освітніх підходів для населення. Дослідження. Дослідження зрозуміло, історико-культурні дослідження, які здійснюються в тій чи іншій тематиці, які мають завершитися аналітичним звітом. Стипендії. Стипендії у нас є постійними. Сума стипендій коливається в межах від 50 до 250 тисяч гривень для однієї особи на здійснення досліджень або інших культурних чи історичних практик, які необхідні безпосередньо нашому вченому чи митцю. І резиденції. Резиденції – це є можливість отримати кошти на те, щоб відбути резиденцію за кордоном. Тобто, наприклад, підвищити свою кваліфікацію за кордоном на базі тої чи іншої закордонної інституції, або навпаки запросити колегу з-за кордону для того, щоб він поділився своїм досвідом з нами або провів своє дослідження тут на території України. Тому є такі, як резиденції. Типи культурних проєктів, історико-культурних і культурно-артистичних проєктів, які є. У нас є 3 типи проєктів, з якими можна подаватися. Проєкти національної співпраці, які передбачають те, що в цьому проєкті будуть задіяні представники щонайменше з 2 областей України. І проєкти міжнародної співпраці, які передбачають наявність закордонного партнера. Тобто наявність українського організатора і закордонного партнера. Зразу хочу дати відповідь на питання, чи можуть подаватися на грантові програми Українського культурного фонду безпосередньо представники з-за кордону, тобто громадяни не України. На жаль, ні, законодавством України це не передбачено, тому для наших колег з інших країн треба шукати партнерів на території України, які безпосередньо з вами будуть подаватися на грантові програми з можливістю їх отримати на них фінансування. Ще хочу звернути увагу, що проекти міжнародної підтримки – це проекти, які дістають найбільше фінансування. Принаймні до початку війни на міжнародні проекти середній бюджет проєктів, які підтримувалися по міжнародній співпраці, складав десь близько від 3 до 8 мільйонів гривень. Тобто суми доволі непогані, з якими можна вже готувати ті чи інші проєкти. Проєкти, власне, зараз на екрані ви можете побачити, які документи необхідно готувати для того, щоб отримати підтримку від Українського культурного фонду. Від себе додам, що стандартно це заявка змістовна, в якій ви описуєте свій проєкт. Друге – це кошторис, в якому ви розписуєте, на що його потратите. І в обов'язковому порядку, оскільки українські установи, довідка з коду ЄДРПО, який підтверджує вашу спроможність. Всі заявки відбуваються виключно в електронній формі через сайт Українського культурного фонду. Подібним чином і стипендіальні проекти, прошу звернути увагу, там теж є необхідність підготувати кошторис витрат, які ви збираєтеся понести. Кілька прикладів того, як і що ми підтримували. Зокрема, саме за підтримки Українського культурного фонду і за його фінансування відбулося «Мудрість предвічна», видання цитат і матеріалів з наших попередників. Приклади археографічного видання. Ну, скажімо так, я зараз відключу трохи чиновника, який це розказує, скажу як професійний історик. У мене є питання до цього видання, але, да, є, звісно, до археографії тут. Але, тим не менш, є ціла добірка, профінансована Українським культурним фондом, видань Євангелії за різні періоди, якими, в принципі, ми можемо користуватись усі. Але я сподіваюся на те, що в наступному році, в наступному грантовому році, який почнеться 1 листопада 2023 року, я побачу, що до нас надійдуть проекти по археографії і більш цікавіші, з більш цікавими проектами. Віртуальний музей культурної спадщини як один з прикладів, які ми можемо так само історики готувати. І, до речі, в нас щороку підтримується порядка 15-20 проєктів, які націлені саме на створення віртуальних музеїв, віртуальних експозицій, віртуальних фондів, віртуальних бібліотек і так далі. Так далі. Саме основне, ми відкриті до співпраці з усіма. Хочу наголосити те, що ми завжди шукаємо експертів в середовищі колег для того, щоб підвищити якість тих проєктів, які відбираються нами. 1 жовтня ми будемо оголошувати новий конкурс експертів для відбору. І хочу додати, що робота експертів в Українському культурному фонді є платною, ми за це платимо кошти за відбір. І тому закликаю і закордонних колег, і колег з України долучатися, слідкувати за сайтом і за соцмережами, де представлений Український культурний фонд, для того, щоб ви могли податися і отримати підтримку заради того, щоб ми всі разом залишалися з Україною і підтримували нашу державу. Дякую. У мене є, може, питання хтось задасть? Можливо, хтось питання має, в мене є 2 хвилини, я зберіг.
Okay, thank you very much once again. for this impressive presentation. Stay here. There are no questions. You are not allowed to leave. The presentation was very interesting. Thank you very much. I think it's very important in times of war to keep some cultural standards, and the foundation is such a standard. It's not so far for the Ukrainians among us, but for the Poles and Germans and Lithuanians, to see the other way around. You can work together with your cultural foundation, and my institute indeed did it already for the virtual museum. We cooperated with a virtual museum about the Russian Germans in Ukraine. So that is great, and now the floor is open for questions from the audience. Now, let's wait a second. No questions? Really no questions? Okay, one question from my side. It's the applicants, there must be an Ukrainian part of the application.
Аплікації подаються українською мовою, але в них обов'язково є частина, яка подається, заповнюється англійською мовою.
Okay.
In general, in Ukrainian, but some part in English.
Okay. Once more, no questions? Okay, then good luck and all the best for the Cultural Foundation. Thank you. The next institution is an institution, the Gerta Henkel Foundation, which I'm very keen of because my institute has 2 scholarships with the Gerta Henkel Foundation, and scholars are here. It's Professor Sigalenko, who is working at our institute with the money of the Gerta Henkel Stiftung, and it's our dear colleague Sergei Kukin, who is also attending the conference. So it's a great pleasure, and also thank you very much, Gerta Henkel Foundation, for the help you gave to our institute and the Ukrainian colleagues, and the director Tomasz Botanski has the floor.
Not the director, unfortunately, or maybe for the better, I'm not sure. So, the slides are already there. Oh, much light here. I try without my glasses. Thank you very much for the nice introduction, and especially for having the possibility to take part in this really interesting conference. So I think I already learned a lot yesterday, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot more today. Yes, as I was presented, my name is Tomasz Botanski. I'm together with one of our board members responsible for most of the competitive funding programs of the Gerta Henkel Foundation. I will make my timer, so I will exceed. I'm happy to have the opportunity to present our work here, and I will start with just a few words about who we are, and then continue with some more words about what we do. I really ask for your understanding that given the limited time which I have, I will just give you the most necessary information about our funding programs, and especially only about those funding programs that may be relevant to you or to those who are here today. So let's start. Who are we, and maybe not that unimportant, where does our money come from? The Gerta Henkel Foundation was established in 1976 by Lisa Masquel. You can see her on the picture, in memory of her mother, Gerta Henkel, that's where our name came from, as a private, non-profit grant-making organization. Our sole object is to promote science at universities and research institutes, and primarily in the fields of the historical humanities. Lisa Masquel was born in 1914 as granddaughter to the founder of the Henkel Company, Fritz Henkel. The Henkel Company, I'm not sure whether you know them, is one of the leading German chemical and consumer good companies. The most, well, I think the well-known product is the washing powder Persil. You've heard of it. In 1976, Lisa Masquel donated a large part of her inheritance into the Gerda Henkel Foundation and managed the foundation in the following years until her death in 1998. Today, the foundation is totally independent from the Henkel Company, although the majority of our assets still are Henkel shares, and so we are at least connected to the success of the company, because the success of the company decides how much money we can spend on scholarships. When establishing the foundation, Lisa Masquel made three general decisions. The first one is that the foundation can only support academic research. The second one is that we can fulfill our task in Germany and internationally. And the third one is that a particular concern of Ms. Masquel was the support of up-and-coming scholars. Of interest to most of you may be especially the part in Germany and worldwide. Unlike other German foundations, that means that our work is totally international. Projects supported by us do not need to have any connection to Germany at any level. So we don't need a thematical connection to Germany, we don't need any cooperation with Germany, we don't have any restrictions regarding working place or nationality. For instance, I just make a case. A Ukrainian researcher being based in the US and working on the history of Latin America could apply at our foundation. Yes. Totally international in regards to eligibility criteria does unfortunately not mean that we can also communicate in any language of the world. We do only have two languages in which we process applications and documents, and these languages are German and English. Then we move on. On the next slide, you see some basic information about the current situation of the foundation. You don't have to be afraid, I won't present them in detail. Maybe just the third line, and here you see it. We have, in last year, we funded 345 new projects, and those projects were based in 56 different countries. Okay. I will come to our funding policy. Our sponsorship work is in generally based on two different pillars, which I will shortly present. The first pillars are the general research grants. And those general research grants, I will tell them, or I will give you more detail about it soon, are divided into four different areas. These are PhD scholarships, research scholarships, research projects, and smaller funding amounts. These smaller funding amounts will not be presented in detail later, so I just tell them now. So we have one program which has an easier procedure for smaller support. And smaller support for us is up to 25,000 euros. And so you can apply there without any deadline and get a much quicker decision, usually within 2 or 3 months. The second pillar of our work are the other funding initiatives. Of those, I think maybe the special program Forced Migration, as well as the funding program Democracy and Lost Cities, may be of relevance to some of you, so I will present them later in really short. But let's start with the general research grants. The General Research Grants Program is the main activity of the Foundation since its establishment in 1976. And the most important information here is that the program is not limited in time, so it's running all the time, I hope in the future as well. Within this program, we do not set any thematic priorities. So it is in general possible to apply for all research that fits into the framework of the historical humanities. And historical humanities, what do we understand? As historical humanities, we understand, especially following academic disciplines, archaeology, history of art, historical Islamic studies, history of science, history of law, prehistory and early history. And because the academic landscape is changing national and internationally, and those disciplines are not as strict as they have been before. So we are, in general, we support all research from other humanities or interdisciplinary research which aims at studying historical processes. I don't have any slides anymore. Okay. So, in general, if you are unsure if a project of you would fit into this framework, you are always free to contact us and send us a short expose, and then we will receive an answer whether we think it fits or not. Coming to the next pillar, the special funding initiatives or special programs. They have not been there since the beginning, but only started in the year 2000, and they differ a bit from the General Research Grants Program. So all of these programs usually have a time limit. They run for up to 10 years. They usually have a thematic priority, which is outlined in a call for proposal. And they usually are not only restricted to historical humanities, but in somehow extend the work of the foundation to current issues and topics of relevance to the present or the future. This is the first slide on the first area of the General Research Grant. It's the PhD scholarships. I think we don't have too many PhD candidates here, so I think I can, I guess I can skip this slide, but you should have heard that we have such a program. We usually are able to support about 50 PhD candidates a year, and if there is any interest in this program, you can, of course, contact me during lunch or by email. So, if we move on, I think that's the most important funding offer for most of you. That's the Research Scholarship Program. And as it is part of the General Research Grants Program, we do not have any thematical focus here. So the same applies as I told before. Any topic from the fields of historical humanities is possible. Research scholarship for us means this is support for individual projects implemented by one scholar alone. And you can see on this slide that we differ we do have two categories. The first categories are regular postdocs, and the second categories are professors or scholars with postdoctoral lecture qualification. The relevant criteria here is a habilitation. At least for countries where there is something like a habilitation. For other countries, we would need somehow a tenured position as associate professor or senior lecturer. But the only difference is between eligibility criteria and about the amount that we can pay a scholarship. The basic scholarship amount for the regular postdocs is 2,300 euros at the moment, and for postdoctoral, for the professors, it's 3,100. You can also apply for all travel and material aid you need, and we do have some allowances. So if you leave your country of residence for research purposes, we would pay an additional overseas allowance. If you have children under the age of 18, you would receive a family allowance. But these details can all be found at our homepage. We do have, for this program, we do have two deadlines a year, usually in May, June, and another one in November. And about those applications, we decide within 6 months. not so unnecessary. The grant approval rate is usually about 20% or a bit under 20%. For regular postdoctoral scholarships, we have some eligibility criteria. The most important of them are that the PhD or the application must be made within 10 years after one has received its PhD. The thesis must be published as book or online, and the topic must be different from the PhD topic. Okay. Those scholarships usually have a duration of 1 to 24 months. And to give you an impression, in the last years we were able to support about between 35 and 50 scholarships a year. Okay. The next one is the research projects. The research projects function a bit different, and the most important difference is that research projects for us are those which are joint projects of more than one researcher. In general, research projects are not applied for by individual researchers without any affiliation. It is possible as well, but usually we do have a research institute where the projects are based. And the other things mainly work the same as with the scholarships. So, still 2 minutes left, and too many slides left. It's okay. So let's come to the priority programs, which I already mentioned. All those priority programs have a thematic focus, and this thematic focus is defined by the call for proposals. If I would like to summarize these calls now, I would probably need another 15 minutes per call, so I won't do it. I just want to encourage you to visit our website to see these calls. The first priority program I will just quickly summarize is the program on forced migration studies. And there it is possible to apply for support for internationally orientated multidisciplinary projects on forced migration. And this program is, and that's the difference, it's open for especially researchers from the social sciences as well, so historians are there in the minority. You can see the 5 research fields that are outlined in the call at the slide, so I just move on. The next priority program is a funding program, Democracy. There is a difference, it's mostly about historical and present questions about the state of democracy in the world. There we do have one difference as well. So there we do not allow individual scholarships, but only scholarships of research groups. And as research group, we understand at least 2 researchers working together on one project. And comparable is not thematically, but from the structure, is a funding program Lost Cities. It's a program on where we also want research groups to apply, and this is mainly about disbanded cities and how humanity copes with this loss, with this cultural loss. Okay, maybe at the end, a few words on the decision process and on how to apply. The main criteria for all our decisions is academic excellence. So we usually decide on the reviews we get and support the most excellent projects. Maybe what you should know, we decide only on the basis of application documents. We don't have any second procedure like talks or that we invite the people. And an application or a proposal usually consists of an outline, an expose of about 8 pages about the idea, work plan, schedule, CV and publication list, and in the scholarship programs recommendation letters. And all these proposals can be sent in electronically. Yes, I think that mainly was it. We do have different deadlines a year, but you can find them all on our homepage. Usually we do have 2 decision rounds. There you find there you can find our homepage, but I think it's easily findable by Google as well, Gerda Foundation or Gerda Stiftung.de. Yeah, finally, you can also write down my email address, and if you have any questions which you don't want to formulate now, you can write me an email as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I think what is the main asset of Henke are 2 points. It's the wide spectrum, no concentration on German history, semantic openness, and the second is it goes mostly to the research people who need help. And in so far, if you need more information, as the slide said, contact us. Thank you very much, Mr. Potansky. And now the floor again for questions.
There is one question.
There's one question. Okay. How do we do it with the mic? I can come to you. Because the translators need the mic.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question about the program supporting research of forced migration. Is there any deadline for such a project, for applying for such a program? And and I have a question about the whole mission of your fund. I know that from the previous day of conference and presentation of German funds, we found out that for German foundation it is important cooperation with German academics. Is it relevant for your foundation? How is it necessary?
Okay, so when it comes to the forced migration program, there's usually one deadline a year, and the process for this year is nearly complete. So we do not have to set the deadline right now, but it will probably end in April or May next year. And then the decision will be made, I think, in November. So that's how I would say now, but please check our homepage. I think it will be at the latest communicated in November this year when the next deadline will end. And the cooperation aspect is not necessary for us at all. So it is possible. So if you want to cooperate with a German partner, you can apply together with him. But I would say it does not make any difference at all. So it just depends on whether it's useful for the project or not. And if it's not useful for the project or not, a cooperation would be more a malus than a bonus, because it depends on what you want to do, and if your project is totally manageable without a German relation to Germany, then it's possible.
Okay, more questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
And once again, thank you for our scholarships and how it's split. Okay. In the last 30 years, many cooperation between Poland and Germany become institutionalized. It's great how many fields are worked together between Poland and Germany, and now I dare to say the next step is already taken, because the Foundation for German-Polish cooperation with its director Cornelius Hochmann is now also connected with helping and granting and researching for Ukrainians, and I'm very pleased to give you the word.
Thank you very much. So I'm here, and I don't have such a nice presentation. It was a mistake from my side. I thought we have direct access to internet, so I could switch on our website, but I think all of you have smartphones, so you can find the Foundation for German-Polish Cooperation in the Polish and German language in the internet. So if you are interested in our foundation and in our funding, please open after my speech the smartphone on our website, and you will find all this information on our website in Polish or in German. So I'm really surprised that so many people, so many historians are interested in a work of our foundations, not only in a German-Polish foundation, but in other foundations. And thank you to organizers for the opportunity to introduce you briefly to the essence of our operation. What is the core of the foundation activity? 2 years ago, the foundation celebrated its 13th anniversary. The foundation is involved in a huge number of activities between Polish and German civil society institutions and organizations. Most importantly, the Foundation for Polish-German Cooperation provides financial support for initiatives that bring Poles and Germans together. And as my colleague mentioned, we are open for German-Polish initiative in Eastern Europe, especially in Ukraine, Belarus, and Moldova, and we are interested in inviting you to this progress. So far, the Foundation has subsidized 16,000 bilateral projects in both countries, as well as Polish-German project in the third countries. The total amount of grants awarded since 1991 equals about 320 million euro. Where do the means come from? Especially in the last years, accompanying 30 years of the German-Polish Treaty of Good Neighborhood and Friendly Cooperation, you may probably hear the Foundation is a child of the Treaty of 1991. But it's true, we, the Foundation, and the so-called Jugendwehr, the youth exchange between Poland and Germany, we are the children of this treaty. And if you follow the money, you will find an agreement between the government of People's Republic of Poland and the government of the Federal Republic of Germany on the financial facility from 1975, and then between the Republic of Poland and the Federal Republic of Germany from 1990. So the establishment of the Foundation is an exceptional solution worldwide, set up as a result of the decision to convert the 1 billion Deutsche Mark credit of the 70s so that the repayment of it should not hinder the building of market economy and democracy in Poland after the fall of Berlin Wall. instead of paying money back to Germany by Poland, the newly established bilateral fund received financial means to invest in common Polish-German projects. Maybe it's a good idea for the current debts of Ukraine for the future, but it's not my topic here. The primary condition to receive a grant was, and still is, German-Polish cooperation on the project. The bilateral board of the foundation is nominated by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Poland and the Chancellor Office of the Federal Republic of Germany. The board consists of 6 people, 3 from Poland and 3 from Germany. We have a political board with 5 representatives from Germany and 5 from Poland. At the beginning, the foundation mainly awarded means for installation of modern infrastructure in Poland, such as renovation of historical buildings, including the famous Wawel Royal Castle, the Malbork Castle, the St. Mary Church in Krakow, as well as the construction of sewage treatment plants, modern waterworks, and so on. The most known project of the renovation is the Kreisau Krzyżowa building estate. It is a background for the Kreisau Stiftung, and by the way, currently in Kreisau in Krzyżowa are 150 refugees from Ukraine. What happened after 10 years? After the Polish state treasury had fulfilled the financial obligations of the agreement, the government decided that the operation of the foundation was to be continued with the support of available funds. Since that time, the foundation business activity, being a source of our grant financing, is separated from the activity as the foundation and embraces, among others, the real property lease and tenancy. And the main office of the foundation is located in Warsaw, in a Zielna Street, in a building which belongs to us, and where the foundation is running a conference center which brings us a lot of money every year. So what is the main goals, what are the main goals of the foundation? The foundation supports valuable Polish-German cooperation, in particular partnership between Polish and German institutions, educational projects that promote knowledge of Poland and Germany, scientific cooperation, and artistic and literary projects. Let me tell you a few words about the most interesting thing, being specific areas and examples of the foundation activity, and introduce a small selection of the initiatives supported by the foundation. A very important area of our support is society, including environmental and ecology. An example can be the report Polish-German Barometer, issued yearly and publishing opinions of Poles and Germans about the condition of Polish-German relations and about current challenges. We will present, the report was presented in Warsaw, I think 2 weeks ago, and next week we will present it in Germany, in the Bundestag, and to the public. The study is prepared in cooperation with the Polish Institute of Public Affairs, with the German Institute of Polish Affairs in Darmstadt, and in cooperation with the Adenauer Foundation. Another example of a project in this field is a small green initiative in the famous over 100-year-old Skaryszewski Park in Warsaw. The Polish-German gardens covering the renovation and recultivation of a neglected park area. It's a political project because There is a German-American garden in Washington, and there is a German-French garden in Strasbourg at the German-French border. So with such a project you can include political decision makers. For example, the both presidents were involved in the Warsaw Polish-German gardens. Another topic, media and public opinion. In the year 2007, together with the Robert Bosch Foundation, the foundation initiated the Polish-German Media Days, an annual gathering of approximately 150-160 journalists from both countries in form of conferences happening and in one of the 6 Polish and German border regions. So there is a common project with 6 entities with 3 Polish border regions and 3 of German lands. Twice a year, the foundation awards very popular grants for Polish and German journalists working on topics relevant for the both countries. Currently, we offer stipendia for journalists and scientists from Ukraine. If I remember the last group of journalists, I think more than 100 people received stipendia in May or beginning of June. The next important topic is science. An example of a project triggered by the foundation is the Alexander Brückner Center for Polish Studies at the University in Halle in Jena, an institute dedicated to the interdisciplinary research of Polish politics, society, language and culture. The foundation supported the institution with an essential grant for 5 years, and I'm just coming. I arrived yesterday directly from Halle and Vienna, where the Brückner Center celebrated the 10th anniversary, and it's a very good example how such an institution can improve the knowledge about the other countries. Maybe it's a good example for Ukrainian, Polish and other countries in Central Europe. The next important topic is culture. The foundation proudly supports the most prominent cultural events and projects in both countries, such as the Jewish Cultural Festival in Krakow and the Leipzig Book Fair. We award grants to Polish and German writers and literary translators in the frame of the program called Albrecht Lemp Scholarship, named after the foundation's former board member and director, in cooperation with the Polish Book Institute and the Literarisches Kolloquium in Berlin. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, education. We are one of the founders of the Polish-German history book for schools. I think there are enough another experts involved in this project, and they can tell you much more about the challenges of this project. Apart from its grant awarding activities, the foundation also implements its own projects initiated in cooperation with organizations and institutions from both countries. As a trendsetter in the project management field, the foundation strives to react to ongoing developments. For example, in 2020, with the experience of global pandemic and the following lockdown, our partners and applicants were and are encouraged to perform online projects. This is one of the purpose of our grant competition entitled 30 Years of the Treaty that gives priority to initiatives taking place in virtual environment. You can find all these examples in the internet on our website. Since 2012, I think it's most important for you, since 2012 the Foundation is able to organize and support German-Polish projects in other countries, especially in Eastern Europe. I'm personally interested and involved in projects in Ukraine and Belarus. I think it's a good opportunity for all of you to create here in Vilnius new projects in the region we are ready to support. So, as I mentioned, all information are on our website, and you will find the history of projects by the Foundation over the past 30 years under the hashtag in German 30 Jahre SDPZ, or in Polish 30 lat FWPN. It's all in sports, presenting projects of the Foundation, Facebook, Vimeo, YouTube, so under the hashtag German, Polish, or only, you can try in English, but you will find only information in Polish and in German. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here ready to answer your questions, and after the presentation here, please contact me if you are interested in funding from Foundation for German-Polish Cooperation. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ockmann. You showed us how a specific German-Polish foundation is widening its scope, its spectrum. So I think the very important was information about cooperation in third countries, not Germany and Poland. You spoke about this. My question would be, what are the conditions for applicants? German-Polish themes, or how can we mention this?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are funding German-Polish project in Eastern Europe since 2012. So we have a little bit experience. So for applicants, we need a Polish and a German partner, and a partner from Ukraine or from Belarus. So usually we started with a small project. It's 6,000–7,000 euro. In the next step, you can get 20,000 euro for a project in these countries. Application only in German and Polish. So it's our framework. We are supporting the German-Polish cooperation in these both languages, so not in English.
And the Polish and the German partners can be individual scholars or must be institutions?
For legal reasons, we cannot offer our projects to private persons. So NGOs, universities, we need a registered institution.
Oh yeah, I see. So, any questions?
But of course, you can, as a private person, at the University of Vilnius, or in a Polish or German university or Ukrainian university, participate in such a project. But of course, with the support of the university.
Yeah, the letter of the university.
Yeah.
There was one question.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I have a question concerning, for example, involving the said country, Ukraine, Belarus, scholars or NGO. Can you give me example of the project for 5–6,000 euro involving three countries?
Yeah.
Give me.
Yeah. For example, you as contact with Polish institution, for example, with a Polish university, can apply for a trip to Germany for 1 semester to another university.
But it is individual grounds. We are talking
but not as a private person, only with the support of university. It's a legal framework, sorry. You cannot apply as person X. You can only do it with a Polish university to go, for example, to Germany, or to via a German institution to Poland for a scientific project.
Any more questions? So, thank you.
Thank you very
Mr.
much, and
Ahmad.
I'm here, so please contact me
Yeah.
if you need.
Use the opportunity to strengthen the German-Polish cooperation in third countries. So, the last presentation is now ahead. If you are talking about German universities and you hear about Viadrina University, always comes to mind, it's the university who really focuses on Eastern Europe. It's the university situated on the German-Polish frontier, Frankfurt at the Oder. But Viadrina also stands for Eastern European Scholarship and Research. And so it's quite logical and not accidentally that in Viadrina there's a center of Polish and Ukrainian, repeat, Ukrainian studies. And I'm pleased to give the word to the director of the center, our dear colleague Andrei Potnov.
Okay, good morning, dear colleagues. I should admit that maybe I should make like 2 important remarks before talking about the center. So first of all, our institution is really different from foundations that we presented before. For a very simple reason, because it's a university, so it's not kind of like a foundation per se where you could apply for something, even though Viadrina is legally constituted as a foundation, which is highly unusual. So like university as a foundation, right? And secondly, as you know from the program, our rector, our president, Professor Edward Müller, he was supposed to do this presentation because, as for me, I have enough presentations for today, too much actually. So I'm feeling a bit, maybe not confused, but it's an unusual role for me. So I'm supposed to read a text that was written by our president. As some of you maybe know, I'm not used at all to read any text. Like my talks, they're spontaneous. They're much more like that. So you'll experience it later on today if you wish to. And secondly, I've asked myself, like yesterday, when it was the last time that I've read a text written by another person, and probably it was when I was a student, and my professor, who unfortunately passed away some years ago, Yaroslav Isayevich from Lviv, he sent me to the International Congress of Historical Studies in Sydney, and I was asked to read his paper. And now I'm doing it again, so it's like the second time in my life. So, what President Edward Müller wrote about the Center of Polish and Ukrainian Studies. Since its re-establishment in 1992, and following on from the historical alma mater Viadrina, which existed between 1506 and 1811, the European University Viadrina has striven for successful cooperation with Central and Eastern European countries. In particular, Viadrina promotes German-Polish academic and cultural cooperation earlier than other German universities, and in particular since 2014, so the beginning of the Russian war against Ukraine, it turned its attention to Ukraine. Activities focusing on Ukraine include cooperation and close contact with partner universities, fellowships and scholarships, research and teaching, as well as transdisciplinary and knowledge transfer projects. Viadrina currently maintains intensive relations with 6 partner universities in Ukraine. These are universities in Kyiv, Lviv, Kharkiv, and Ivano-Frankivsk, including the National University Kyiv Academy, with which it has had a bilateral cooperation agreement since 2004. I could add for myself that now we are in process of negotiating more partnership agreements, but at the moment, as we see here, it's 6. Since 1997, at the time politically initiated by the Ukrainian President Leonid Kuchma and German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, Viadrina has been awarding scholarships to Ukrainian students, graduates and academics, largely with the help of the German Academic Exchange Service, DAAD. We don't have, unfortunately, a representative with us today. So of the various programs, I would in particular mention, for example, the Erasmus Plus exchange programs funded by the European Commission and the DAAD for students, doctoral candidates, and university staff in both directions with partner universities in Ukraine. In addition, we maintain our own programs, such as the Viadrina International Program for Graduates, through which Viadrina offers short research stays at the Viadrina for 1 to 3 months since 2015, and which is also accessible for PhD students from Ukraine. In the framework of the Eastern Partnership Program of the German Foreign Office and the DAAD, Viadrina since 2019 is offering 1 incoming mobility per year for PhD students from Kyiv Academy, hosting the family of the chair of Intellectual History of Ukraine. Since the beginning of the full-scale Russia's invasion of Ukraine, we are running also some additional programs, providing extensive emergency aid for Ukrainian students and academics who have fled and for those who have remained in Ukraine. The programs funded by DAAD provide scholarships. In the last 2 years, 9 scholarships for BA, 4 for MA, and 2 for PhD candidates. Another project funded by DAAD is Ukraine Digital, which ensures the continuation of teaching in Ukraine and which enabled us to award 40 scholarships surplus, so in Ukraine, and 18 digital teaching positions. At present, approximately 150 students from Ukraine study at the Viadrina, and we were lucky to recently host 15 academics from Kyiv, Kharkiv, Cherkasy, Zaporizhia at the Viadrina, some of whom in the meantime have moved on or returned to Ukraine. Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine obviously changes the framework conditions for our focus on Ukraine. While Ukraine's importance for global history and for Europe is finally receiving more attention in research, and especially in historical research on Europe and Eastern Europe, personal meetings are severely restricted, making it more difficult to maintain contacts. Here I could add, dear colleagues, just an information for you that Viadrina, as well as other German universities, as far as I know at least, does not allow official job trips, so Dienstreise in Ukraine. You could do it on your own, like privately, but not as a legally confirmed job trip from the institution. So we are trying to invite our partners to us. Also, projects of transdisciplinary exchange and knowledge transfer, which contribute to horizontal Europeanization, play an important role and are part of Viadrina's activities. In the area of transdisciplinary projects, the Viadrina Summer School, the last one ended up a week ago. A cross-sectoral summer school with a special focus on Ukraine should be mentioned in particular. The summer school with an annually changing thematic focus related to post-socialist space brings together young academics with representatives from civil society and the cultural sector in research-oriented projects on site, so in Frankfurt Oder and Snowice, and online. Viadrina gathers a broad spectrum of academic expertise in Ukraine in its 3 faculties and 4 central academic institutions. Ukraine has been an important focus of research and teaching for many years, especially in the fields of history, economics and law, peace and conflict studies, as well as culture, literature and language. Knowledge on Ukraine is produced and transmitted, for example, at the Viadrina Institute for European Studies, Institute for Conflict Management, and the Center for Interdisciplinary Polish Studies. In addition to expertise on Ukraine and its inclusion into curricula, our Ukrainian language courses should be highlighted. Viadrina was the first university in Brandenburg and Berlin area to give a non-time restricted position for Ukrainian language courses. And they still are an extremely rare offer in the German university landscape. Next to language skills, knowledge about country, history, and geography are also taught here. In 2014, Viadrina established the, until today, only chair professorship explicitly dedicated to the history of Ukraine at any German university. It's called the Chair of Intelligent History of Ukraine, like my responsibility. We could talk about it later on. So this professorship focuses on, among other topics, the history and memory and intellectual life in the Polish, Ukrainian, and German triangle, regionalism, urban history, and migration in Ukraine, and also such topics as modern Jewish history of Eastern Europe, for example. The university management supports the creation and the dissemination of knowledge about Ukraine in any possible way, among other things through institutionalization. And that's, of course, a crucial point here. Therefore, it was one of my first priorities, now I'm speaking in the name of Professor Müller, as a new president of Viadrina, to create new institutional structures that help intensify Viadrina's respective activities. 2 months ago, we established the Viadrina Center of Polish and Ukrainian Studies. What are the ideas guiding this foundation and its future program? So, the Viadrina Center of Polish and Ukrainian Studies will officially be opened, that's very important information, on November 13th, so the last day of autumn, it will be Thursday, and everybody who is interested is already today cordially invited to take part in this event in Frankfurt Oder, also from my side. In practice, we have expanded our already existing Center for Interdisciplinary Polish Studies, which was opened in 2011, and transformed it into a larger structure headed by 2 co-directors, Dagmara Yeshnik-Vast and Andriy Pakhnov. The creation of the center puts Viadrina's academic engagement with Ukraine and its cooperation with both Polish and Ukrainian universities and scientific institutions on a broader institutional footing and allows for a new level of dialogue and new synergies. It creates additional opportunities for the study of history and culture, politics and society of Poland and Ukraine in their European relations and global interconnections. To this end, the Center will work closely with relevant academic institutions in Ukraine, in Poland, in Europe and overseas, and offer a forum for networking within Ukraine-related research, teaching and transfer activities. The Center is a place of interdisciplinary and transnationally conceived research and aims to find a new analytical language for the scientific examination of the region, as well as to enrich the prevailing predominantly American and Western European theoretical approaches with East Central European perspectives. The establishment of the Center follows the academically understood dialogue of reconciliation, and thus the paradigm of teaching and research that has supported the European idea since 1945. The idea for this new institution is to jointly put into practice the ideas of Jerzy Giedroyć and his Kultura, namely to the research of the commonwealths of many nations and to look at the impulses for Europeanization from the East. This means historical research on the complexity of Europe that does not claim lost territories, reparations, and resentments for itself, but rather interprets the non-intended convergences of mutual aggression in an interdisciplinary way beyond nation-state perspectives. In comparative and interdisciplinary research, and from the perspective of the long durée, which understands pre-modernity as an indispensable key to understanding contemporary history and the present, the new center is to translate the economic, legal, social, and cultural significance of East Central European experiences not least from a post-imperial view of European Russian reconciliation scientifically into research and teaching. Since 1989, the most intense negotiations process on Europeanization in geographical Europe have taken place in East Central Europe, initially and predominantly in Poland. Since 2004, the strongest impulses towards Europe have come from Ukraine, which is experiencing for herself how difficult it is in a post-imperial Europe to define what is and what is not European. In addition to a discursive cultural and historical approach investigating conceptions of Europe and Europeanness, institutional history of Europe from a Polish and Ukrainian perspective naturally also had its place at our newly founded center. This also includes the study of elites, both from countries in their dialogue with Western or non-European partners, on what could always be fragile and discontinuous and uneven process of Europeanization. In addition to central research projects, the center's planned activities include research colloquia and a publication series, a reformed, remodeled research colloquium on topics of Eastern and Central Europe will be established from the winter semester this year, so from mid-October. This colloquium will bring together colleagues of the Viadrina Center of Polish and Ukrainian Studies with colleagues from the Chair of Culture and History of Central and Eastern Europe, the Chair of Dictatorship and Democracy, and the Chair of the Contemporary German and East European History. In addition to the already established series Interdisciplinary Polish Studies, a series on interdisciplinary Ukrainian studies will be established, hopefully, together with our Ukrainian colleagues from the publishing house Duch i Litera. And in the medium term, the center will initiate an interdisciplinary graduate school, bringing together international doctoral and postdoctoral positions, and host a fellowship program for established Ukrainian academics. In the long run, our vision is to bring all Viadrina activities under one roof, under a roof which we may call a Viadrina Ukrainian campus. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Andre, for reading this paper with much emotion.
Even though it's not my text.
Yeah, that was my point. But now we have you live here, and now it's your duty to answer questions. There's one going over.
Thank you for this great success in my view, and my congratulations with establishing this center and with ambitious plans for Ukrainian campus in Viadrina. So my question is about this publishing series with Duch i Litera. So in what language you are planning to publish it? And so maybe you will uncover some secrets about what series you are planning, journal, edited volumes, monographs, and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, dear Alexander. So, frankly speaking, most probably I'm not supposed to uncover too many secrets because they will be announced on November 13th. And if I announce them now, it is also kind of not a problem, but then I should think what am I supposed to say, yeah, it must be do it. But, very briefly, I could tell you that, at least in my view, now I'm talking from my perspective, right, okay, not our president, not my colleagues, my own. In my own view, I think that one of the challenges we are facing nowadays, and that's actually maybe one of the topics for our evening discussion, is this kind of new relationship, new interaction, if you wish, between academic publications on Ukraine and broadly speaking East Central Europe that are made in Ukrainian language in Ukraine and that are made in English plus other languages. Yeah, German, French, Polish, and so on. Me, myself, maybe because of my background, I'm convinced that the first part of the story, so the Ukrainian language publications, is still very, very important. Very, very important. And they're important not only in sense of translating like the best works on Ukraine published somewhere else, but also in a sense of supporting the produce of knowledge in Ukrainian language, properly published, properly edited, properly prepared. So, if you could feel already from my answer, in my view, this particular project with Ukrainian publishing houses, maybe not just the one I mentioned, it is envisioned, at least at the moment, as someone really focusing on Ukrainian language academic publications. Which of course does not mean that there could not be other publications made in German or English or French and whatsoever, but I do believe that this idea of, and we could kind of have some evidence of it already now, this idea that a lot of colleagues, they are, let's be frank, they are stopping writing Ukrainian at all. They're writing, producing their stuff in English only, or in Polish only, depending on the location of the language capacities. I'm not very happy about it, and I think that one of the tasks and challenges for us is to preserve and to keep the standards of academic Ukrainian, as well as promoting, Ukrainian topics in German language milieu that we are doing, of course, every day.
Okay, any more questions? No, there's one.
I want to ask if you can tell, if you have such overview, how popular are Ukrainian studies in Germany? If you can tell something about your students, and if you can see that the popularity rose after 24th of February.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Natalia. That's actually a very important question because we need, I believe, as a teachers also, we need to be aware of these dynamics, right? I could tell you from my personal experience because, again, probably it's always kind of personal because I've never seen, please correct me if I overlook something, I've never seen a systematic research. Like, for instance, even statistical data, like Ukrainian language at the German university, and then the numbers. I've never seen something like that. So my personal experience, I came to Germany 10 years ago, which means, like, primitively speaking, in the time of Yanukovych. So it was before the Revolution of Dignity, 2012, right before. And the same year, I started teaching Ukrainian, one course on Ukrainian studies at the University of Humboldt in Berlin. And I should tell you that already then, so again, it's Yanukovych, it's before Maidan, before Crimea, before Donbass, before all of it. I've had a really very good, big interest in this issue. I've had more than 40 students, and since then it became clear to me that Ukrainian studies, broadly defined, have a potential in Germany. So, and today I would say the same, and believe me, not everybody will agree with me, from my German colleagues, that this interest and necessity of having more Ukrainian topics, Ukrainian issues in German curriculum, it is not just because of the war, because of all those terrible atrocities, because, Ukraine, is with the news, right, and we all discuss, every day which weapons could be given and which could not, and so on. It has this deeper dimension that I experienced personally before all those events happened, really. And that is why I also hope, maybe in a naive way, that this interest, we shouldn't, of course, overestimate it, clear, but still, that, this potential interest will not completely disappear after the war, is over, and after some other maybe topics, conflicts coming in the forefront and so on. And that is why also for this center, and I think Müller tried to stress the same point, we are thinking about those topics not just in terms of actual like political, social, military even, of course, let's say relevance, but in terms of long durée. Let me use this nice French category again. So long durée of Polish-Ukrainian, German-Ukrainian, let's say, new understanding of Russian imperial history, Soviet history, Ottoman history, right, with Ukraine as part of it. So those are challenges and issues that are stronger, deeper, and they have like longer dynamics than just the tragedy of the war right now. So in this sense, my personal experience in Germany was very, very positive for me.
This must be the last word of you. Yeah, thank you very much once again. I'm tempted to summarize the presentation today in the way, if you are planning research, think about a Polish, German, Ukrainian theme, apply at Henkel Foundation, and base your research at the Rethinking University. So, thank you very much, all the presenters. And now we are leaving the academic sphere. We talked about our research as if there was normal cooperation in Europe.
Скажу, що ми знаємо кілька випадків смертей цивільних у полоні. Російська Федерація повернула деякі тіла на територію України, і на тих тілах були сліди катувань. Зараз ми не знаємо, від чого насправді померли ці люди. Але ми бачили, і судмедексперти роблять висновки, що були сліди тортур. Як я сказала, російська сторона заперечує факт отримання цивільних заручників, до них не допускають представників моніторингових місій, а також адвокатів. Росія розуміє, що її дії можна кваліфікувати як міжнародні злочини, зокрема, злочин проти людяності. Ми думаємо, що Міжнародний кримінальний суд міг би взяти випадок затримання і переміщення цивільного населення для розслідування саме в цьому контексті, в контексті скоєння злочину проти людяності. Цивільних заручників не включають в списки на обмін, тобто не існує ніякого алгоритму, механізму повернення цивільних громадян на територію України. І на сьогодні міжнародним правом не передбачено дієвий та ефективний механізм повернення цієї категорії захищених осіб в Україну та на підконтрольні її території. Інструменти, які створені після Другої світової війни, очевидно, зараз не працюють. І тому ми насправді тут для того, щоб показати живі приклади історії, яка відбувається зараз в Україні, і сказати, що Україна насправді має дуже багато викликів. І не з усіма викликами Україна може впоратися самостійно. І тому нам потрібен розголос про те, що є така проблема, зокрема одна з них, наряду з депортацією дітей, наряду з катуванням військовополонених, є також цивільні заручники, яких треба повертати. Тому дякую дуже за те, що вислухали, і за те, що, сподіваюсь, ви також будете нести інформацію про це далі. Дякую.
Петро.
Добрий день. Мене звати Львівський Петро. Я батько політичного в'язня, який знаходиться в Росії, Львівського Валентина, і водночас є учасником об'єднання родичів політв'язнів Кремля. Активне протистояння кремлівсько-московської влади проти моєї сім'ї почалось ще давно. У 1937 році був розстріляний мій дід по материнській лінії, етнічний поляк Карбовський Франц Сашкевич. Він був розстріляний як ворог народу і житель Житомирської області. Наступний крок в цих злочинах був арешт органами МВД мого батька Вігільського Степана Олександровича, який був арештований у 1951 році, і його осудили як ворога народу у сумнозвісної статті 58 і дали 25 років ув'язнення в таборах. Він етнічний українець. У 2014 році, 12 серпня, загинув син мого брата, Даманський Ян Юрійович, етнічний поляк. Його вбили на Донбасі російські солдати, які керувалися з Кремля. Трошки пізніше, майже через місяць, 18 вересня 2014 року, російською службою ФСБ був захоплений мій син Валентин, Вігільський Валентин Петрович. Суд Російської Федерації звинуватив його у шпигунстві і засудив на 11 років в колонії суворого режиму. Сина помістили в колонію номер 11, місто Кірово-Чепецьк, Київської області. Більше 5 років його утримували в одиночній камері в повній ізоляції від навколишнього світу. Як пояснювали мені відповідні особи, що особливо небезпечних для Російської Федерації людей утримують в одиночних камерах в таких умовах. Через 2 дні вже буде 9 років, як він знаходиться у ув'язненні. На сьогоднішній день мій син є кремлівський в'язень з політично мотивованих причин, який знаходиться найдовше у ув'язненні в Російській Федерації. Так сталося, що дід і онук знаходяться у ув'язненні в одному і тому самому ж місті, це Київська область. Колишній В'ятлах, тобто це філіал всім відомого ГУЛАГу. Діду присудили 25 років, він відсидів в ув'язненні 4,5 роки, тому що помер Сталін і причина ув'язнення зникла. Онуку присудили 11 років, а він відсидів уже 9 років. А на жаль, причина для звільнення, похоже, як у діда, ще не настала. У Валентина є син, якому вже 14 років, і він ходить у 8 клас. І ні одного разу в школу його тато не приводить, тому що кремлівська влада не дозволила цього зробити. Часи проходять, країни міняються, уряди міняються, але ворог у нас залишається один і той самий. Це Москва, Кремль. Українців ув'язнені з політично мотивованих причин, які утримуються на території Росії і окупованого Криму, близько 200. Родичі цих людей у 2015-2016 роках об'єдналися в громадське об'єднання родичів політв'язнів Кремля. Це необхідно було зробити для того, щоб координувати наші дії і підвищити ефективність у праці по звільненню наших військ. Основний напрямок роботи на сьогоднішній день нашого об'єднання – це залучення закордонних громадських правозахисних організацій, урядових кіл, засобів масової інформації до справи звільнення людей із тюрем і відновлення справедливості і законності. Після останнього обміну у 2019 році із звільнених політв'язнів була створена об'єднання платформа звільнених політв'язнів, цілі і задачі яких такі ж самі, як і в інших людей, це звільнення тих українців, тих людей, які залишилися ще ув'язнені. На сьогодні активність цього об'єднання трошки знизилась, тому що практично всі учасники цього об'єднання, всі колишні політв'язні знаходяться на фронті. Залишилися тільки ті люди, які або ж старі за віком, або хворі. Але це не означає, що вони припинили свою діяльність у справі звільнення політичних в'язнів. Ми впевнені, що наші зусилля будуть підтримані світовим товариством, і наші рідні будуть на свободі. Темнота і беззаконня зникне, світло і законність, справедливість переможуть і будуть наші рідні на свободі. Дякую.
Ізабела.
Доброго дня. Ви звуть Ізабела Пех. Я народилася на Донеччині, яку у 2014 році окупували російські війська. Мені довелося залишити свій дім. Я приїхала на підконтрольну Україні територію разом з мамою, яка працювала в художньому музеї. Вона відкривала безліч виставок, писала наукові статті, брала участь в наукових конференціях. У 2016 році моя бабуся пережила інсульт, і моїй мамі довелося періодично їздити на окуповану територію, щоб доглядати її. Це було ризиково, але мама не могла залишити бабусю без допомоги. В один з таких приїздів у 2018 році російські військові заарештували мою маму. Її обвинуватили в шпигунстві на користь України та зраді батьківщини. Хоча єдина її батьківщина – це Україна. Вони тримали мою маму 3 місяці в камері одиночці, де над нею знущалися. Її волочили по підлозі, душили, сильно били, катували електричним струмом, імітували розстріли. А ще її багато разів гвалтували, внаслідок чого у неї кілька разів відкривалась кровотеча. Моя мама носила зірку Давида на шиї. Вони зрізали її та викинули на підлогу. Вони принижували її віру. Зрештою, її довели до спроби самогубства. Вона порізала собі вени шматком іржавого металу, який знайшла в камері. Перебуваючи у відчаї, вона написала кров'ю на стіні послання своїм катам. Дівчатам вдалося вижити. Мама була засуджена на 13 років, позбавлена волі з відбування покарання в жіночій виправній колонії на окупованій території. Мама страждає на епілепсію. Під час тортур вона пережила багато нападів, не отримавши ніякої медичної допомоги. Через тортури вона майже не ходить. У неї зруйнований та застогнений суглоб. Вона живе з постійним болем та спить по 2-3 години на добу. Моя мама знаходиться в полоні 5 років. Я, її єдина дочка, борюся за звільнення мами, в надії знову побачити і обійняти найріднішу людину. Дякую.
Всім добрий день, мене звати Огієвська Катерина. У мене своя особиста болюча історія. Вона почалася 4 березня 2022 року. Під час окупації Чернігівської області до нас завітали російські військові перевірити телефонні документи. Щось їм не сподобалося. Як завжди, вони шукали незрозумілі для нас якісь нюанси. Після чого вони забрали декількох людей з будинку для уточнення своїх питань. Серед них був Будьнов Микита. Через хвилин 20 мене привели до нього. Я спостерігала картину, що Микита стоїть навколішках обличчям до дерева і вдягає верхній одяг. Мене поставили навколішки поруч з ним. Навколо нас були десятки російських військових із перезарядженими автоматами. Зброя була наведена повністю вся на нас. Задавались питання. В паніці я не розуміла, що від мене хочуть. Після чого мене підвели на ноги, відвели відносно десь на метр від Микити, повернули спиною, і головний серед них, він представився начальником безпеки колони, сказав мені, приставивши автомат до голови Микити, сказав, що я зараз особисто його на твоїх очах застрелю, а потім ти зможеш підійти з ним попрощатися. На що я задала єдине питання, навіщо це все робиться. Він мені сказав, ви нас вважаєте вбивцями, катами і окупантами. Моя відповідь була про те, що я рятувалася з міста Чернігів, не для того, щоб опинитися в такій ситуації, а навпаки врятувати собі і своїм близьким життя. Після чого мене відвели до будинку. Після цього я Микиту більше не бачила. Нас зібрали всіх разом. І офіційно нам озвучили таку версію, що Будьнов Микита Сергійович – зрадник держави, що він не повернеться і в кращому випадку йому світить термін 15 років ув'язнення. Мама Микити перше, що запитала, де це ув'язнення буде відбувати. Вони впевнено сказали, що ув'язнення буде відбувати на території України. Після цього ми Микиту більше не бачили. Вже пройшло 1,5 року. Ми нічого не знаємо про його місце перебування. Не знаємо навіть точно, чи є він серед живих. Батьки здавали ДНК минулого року. Є така процедура, так, вона неприємна, болюча, але все ж таки. Поки що, на щастя, ДНК не підтвердилося, але ми боїмося найбільше того, що у будь-який момент можуть зателефонувати і сказати найстрашнішу річ. Ми до останнього віримо, що він живий, що він знаходиться десь на території Російської Федерації. Ми не перестаємо вірити і шукати. Також я є представниця громадської організації «Цивільні в полоні». Це саме та організація, яка була створена після 24 лютого. І ми представляємо інтереси всіх рідних, в яких цивільні заручники знаходяться на окупованих та на території Російської Федерації. Таких випадків безліч, багато про яких ми не знаємо, але з кожним днем до нас люди звертаються все більше і більше. На Чернігівській, Сумській області люди поодиноко зникали, тобто це дуже важка ситуація, тому що їх мало хто бачив, їх тримали поодинці. Такі випадки є, людина просто їхала за продуктами, зникла, не повернулася додому. Є випадки, коли просто сиділи вдома вся сім'я, вірвалися російські військові на техніці, навколо дому було дуже багато військових, забрали батька, в якого дуже серйозні проблеми зі здоров'ям. Так, про нього відомо, що він на території Росії, але стан здоров'я його вважає кращого. Також є випадки, коли просто на блокпостах забирали в Сумській області. Серед них є такий молодий хлопець від 2000 року народження. Є випадки, один з співзасновників громадської організації, у нього брат, намагався із сім'єю врятуватися, вони хотіли перейти кордон з Російської Федерації, потім через треті країни повернутися в Україну. Його затримали, це молодий також хлопець, 98-го року народження. Його утримують, відоме його місце знаходження, це Російська Федерація. Таких випадків багато, про них ми стараємося більше привертати увагу саме міжнародних партнерів України, тому що чим буде більший розголос цього всього, чим буде більше привертатися увага, ми надіємося, що це буде такий свій тиск на Російську Федерацію, щоб вона почала відпускати цивільних. Тому що ми розуміємо, і на всіх зустрічах з представниками нашої влади української, ми чуємо, що потрібна політична воля країн. Ми розуміємо, знаємо, що Україна готова забирати своїх громадян, але Росія, на жаль, не готова їх віддавати. Ніхто не знає цих причин чому. І ми розуміємо, що обмінювати їх також не можна. Це не дозволено Женевською конвенцією, а також ми розуміємо, що якщо їх будуть обмінювати, то люди, які знаходяться на даний момент на окупованих територіях, мають ризик потрапити в полон. Тобто наші військові залишаться надалі військовополоненими, а українців почнуть масово затримувати і обмінювати на своїх військових. Тому я тут донести цю біль тисячі рідних, тому що це не одинокі випадки. І я дуже вдячна, що ви мене вислухали. І я надіюся, що ви у своїх спільнотах зможете донести, що це велика проблема і про неї потрібно говорити. Дякую.
Thank you very much. And now at the last Rina, some words from Rina Leontieva. Rina originally is from Kharkiv. She now lives in Warsaw and she works within the Lemkin Center of the Pilecki Institute on the documentation of war crimes. Rina, please.
Thank you for allowing the time for us today. I represent Lemkin Center for Documenting Russian War Crimes committed in Ukraine. The center works as of the beginning of the full-scale invasion in Pilecki Institute in Warsaw. We collect individual eyewitness testimonies. We collect them without an oath, and the archive we formed is one of the largest archives of its kind, if I may say so, among the organizations doing this similar work. The uniqueness of the archive is that, first of all, witness is the center of our activity. That's why we work with the individual testimonies and don't treat them as statistics. And the second is we collect them without an oath to allow you the usage of those documents for your work. We understand that individual testimonies of the war crimes can be covered, prosecutionally can be covered by secrecy until the end of the processes, and in some cases it can last 50 years or longer. We cannot allow so much time for the Russian crimes to be punished. As well as we cannot allow this truth to be removed from the historical narrative, from the national memory narrative. We need to talk about these cases louder, and we need to really learn the reasons of this barbaric behavior. That's why I would like to welcome all the scholars, journalists, publicists, everyone interested in using the archive to contact the center and to contribute science and media coverage to show the stories of those people, to allow them to see the freedom as soon as possible, to speak the truth. Thank you.
So, thank you. As you heard, so the values as a solidarity, sympathy with victims are also important impulse for research. And we have to remember it, and we hope that this mobilization in our scientific community is something which can really contribute to the fate of these people, of political prisoners in Donbass, in other places. Thank you very much.